Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker, and I congratulate my honourable friend for Stafford for securing this important debate that gives me an opportunity to continue, as I have done many times before in this chamber and on the Transport Select Committee, to detail the plight faced by landowners and small business owners alike, who through no fault of their own have been swept up in the seemingly endless and needless disruption caused by HS2 Limited and their contractors in my constituency. People who face losses and hefty legal bills, which have left many unprofitable, some facing near bankruptcy, all without the means to recoup their losses in any form of equitable way. I have heard time and time again of the inescapable, infinite loop of bureaucracy that surrounds what meagre compensation HS2 Limited is willing to cough up, which in itself increases and prolongs my constituents' legal costs. One landowner has told me that her land agent is increasingly reluctant to take on more work as more and more of his bills, which under the Act are meant to be compensated by HS2's own agents, Carter Jonas, go unpaid. A couple in my constituency have been caught up in this legal quagmire, with HS2's insistence that their septic tank be replaced before the project purchases the property at a predetermined rate. What was supposed to be a relatively straightforward job turned into a multi-month process, preventing my constituents from selling their property at that agreed price, effectively leaving them short-changed, despite them simply following due process. They have yet to be compensated for the difference between the agreed value and the actual value of their property. In the village of Quainton, which in one way or another has been continuously impacted by HS2's road closures, yet another road closure is about to come into effect, this time for 2 years. This will devastate my constituents at Doddishall House, whose business will suffer from reduced access to and from the estate and require a lengthy diversion both for them and their clients. HS2 have not even attempted to offer them compensation. Or take, for our farmers, cattle loss, which has blighted numerous farms as a result of poor soil treatment and management by HS2's contractors, often operating right next door. One farmer has quoted a total loss of £37,000 as a direct result of HS2's shoddy practices. How, Mr. Deputy Speaker, can this possibly be morally justifiable for the project? How can a hard-working family be left with such heavy losses? Then there is blackleg, a disease in cattle that is caused by bacteria released from disturbed soil. I'm aware of at least one case that the farmer has attributed to HS2's malpractice. It is noteworthy that farmers in this area have never seen a blackleg case before in Buckinghamshire. And no prizes, Mr. Deputy Speaker, for guessing how much compensation has been offered. For the avoidance of all doubt, absolutely zero. And it's not just farmers and landowners that suffer from being left out in the cold by HS2. Hundreds of road users across my constituency are forced to sit in endless congestion wherever HS2 decides to cut a tree down, closing whole roads in the process. Endless utility diversions, commuters, buses taking children to school, ambulances responding to life and death situations. They've all had their journeys repeatedly disrupted by HS2 with no recourse to any form of compensation. Whether it's the A41 through Wadston and Fleet Marston, whether it's the villages near Wendover like Ellersborough and Butler's Cross, these endless diversions are costing real people real money and real time, and in some cases, lives on a daily basis. No compensation. And that's before we even get to the state of Buckinghamshire's roads, destroyed by thousands of HGV movements linked to HS2 construction, causing endless damage to cars, to tyres, to suspension systems. Again, HS2, fingers in their ears, don't take any responsibility for that which they have broken in Buckinghamshire. Then briefly we come to businesses. Let me give the example of the Prince of Wales pub in Steeple Claydon. Now, Steeple Claydon sits right in the heart of HS2 disruption and destruction, also very near the building of East West Rail. There are constantly roads closed in and out of that village, like Addison Road, closed for many, many months recently. That is costing that pub nigh on £1,000 a month in lost revenue. At one point, the landlord told me he was £65,000 down. There is no scheme, nothing out there at all to compensate businesses affected in this way. Real livelihoods challenged, the real viability of businesses challenged. I put that to a former chief executive of HS2 Limited, Mark Thurston, when he actually bothered to visit my constituency in May, and it is unrepeatable the language he used about that pub in this chamber in response. No sympathy, just saying that it was a expletive little pub that nobody would want to drink in anyway. That is not the attitude that we expect from anyone paid for by the state. Just next door in Steeple Claydon, got Langston and Tasker, which stands out amongst businesses affected by HS2 construction. They are a bus and coach operator, hit hard by any road closure. They operate school runs. They take Buckinghamshire children to school on a daily basis. Yet the constant road closures, the state of the roads, the damage to their vehicles is costing them considerable amounts of money every single day, which ultimately gets passed on to Buckinghamshire Council and local council taxpayers. Do HS2 pay a penny towards it? No, of course they don't, but they absolutely should. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I could go on with examples like this all afternoon, but I am very aware of the time and others that wish to speak. And so my message to the Minister, who I know does listen and has visited my constituency and does want to get this right, is that we have got to do better. HS2 Limited have got to do better. The attitude needs to change. The practices need to change. They need to understand the real lives. They are absolutely devastating on a daily basis, be that people who own property or just trying to go about their daily lives, getting to work, get the kids to school, who knows, maybe have some fun. They need to understand the impact that as the unwelcome aliens in Buckinghamshire, they are causing on a daily basis to build this railway. And my challenge to the Minister is let's get them the compensation that real people, my constituents and so many more deserve.